Welcome to the Opportunity Podcast, where entrepreneurs come to learn from real buyers, sellers, and industry experts on the lesser-known growth opportunities to build their online business empires. We'll uncover tactics veteran online business entrepreneurs have used to build, buy, flip, and sell their way towards personal wealth. Sit back, grab a coffee, and get ready to uncover hidden growth secrets. The Opportunity Podcast starts now.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Opportunity Podcast, your go-to resource for hidden growth opportunities throughout online business. For those familiar and new to the podcast, I'm Sarah, and thanks so much for joining me today. In today's episode, we have Ben Adler, founder of Keyword Chef. Ben spent years building his own niche affiliate sites and community. Along the way, he saw a need for better keyword research tools, leading him to create a SaaS-based solution for himself and others. We get into what his journey has been like to be a sole founder building a SaaS business from scratch and how to build a lucrative keyword strategy. We explore all kinds of topics in this episode, everything from what makes good and bad keyword research, how to build your own community, and how Ben found a way to effectively test and iterate on his product. Even though Ben's been able to realize growth within his businesses over the years, we discuss how there is no true shortcut for realizing success. It took time and hard work, but Ben shares the secrets that helped him to get where he is today. I don't want to give away too much just yet, though, so let's dig into the interview and see what Ben has to share. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Opportunity Podcast. I'm really excited to have Ben Adler on the show with us today. Ben, how you doing?
Hey Sarah, thank you. I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great to have you here. And where are you calling in from in the world right now?
I'm in New Hampshire in the United States, so I'm about 60 minutes north of Boston for a reference point.
Awesome. Okay. So that makes sense now. We were talking offline about an escape for the winter. You probably have a good reason to go.
Lots of snow.
Exactly. That's awesome. Well, cool. So, we've been able to chat a little bit offline, but there's still lots to get to know about you and your story. And I'm done a little bit of research on you. I love hearing a little bit about your background, but let's dig into it. So for those who don't know you, walk me through how you got started in SEO and building affiliate niche sites.
Yeah. So I have a background as a programmer. So I've always been interested in, making websites and things like that. And one day I was browsing Reddit to learn about, I was trying to get passive income ideas that I could do online. And I didn't know anything about business at the time. And I came across a post on this subreddit about someone making $500 a month from this vacuum cleaner website. And I saw the website and, it didn't look very good to me. And I thought, this website sucks. I could do a better job. And I didn't know anything about affiliate marketing at the time. That was my very first introduction. That was my aha moment where I was like, wow, you can actually make money by making these kinds of websites. So I tried 2 smaller websites that didn't work out. And then later on, I found a niche that had no competition at the time, which I think I got pretty lucky. So I would come home from work, open my laptop, and then I would work until I went to bed. I did that for maybe 6 months until I made my first dollar. That site did really well. And I recently sold it a couple of years ago, but it's still going today. Since then, I've made a few other websites and bought and sold a few others.
Amazing. I'm always so impressed when I hear about people who building these sites, they have their full-time jobs and they're coming home at night and working till midnight on their laptop, kind of committed to the site. It's always impressive to me because, these sites don't make money usually straight off the bat. There could be 6 months, it could be a year until you really see some income. And it takes a lot of kind of gumption and resolve to really build that when you have to have that delayed gratification. So kudos to you for sticking with that. And then obviously now you've built a life from it. I'm sure at that time it must have been pretty grueling not knowing, when is this going to stick? When is this going to work out?
I think there's 2 things. One, you have to have the right expectations. Because if you're a beginner and you think you're going to make money after a month, you're going to quit before you make money. And the other thing is I kind of had this, I'll call it faith, but I was really I just knew it was going to work if I just worked on it hard enough. So that was my attitude when I was building that website. So I was just going to keep working until it worked, basically.
Awesome. I'm curious, I think in the same vein of what we were talking about before, obviously building a niche site, it isn't always easy, but then kind of on the other side of it, SEO in general and really building expertise in SEO, that takes a lot of problem solving. It takes a lot of staying on top of changes. I would say it's probably not always pretty. Maybe you're going to tell me otherwise, but I was wondering what about working within SEO just really resonates with you?
First, I consider myself more of like a content creator than an SEO. A thing I found with SEO is most people, they find what works for them doing SEO. Like some people are really good at building backlinks, or they're really good at on-page optimization. Or with me, I'm really good at like researching and writing content, which is why I consider myself a creator first. I just love making things and creating, and SEO is just what brings in the traffic to those articles for me. So my strategy is to go after low competition keywords. So there's a lot of like technical SEO I can ignore and just focus on creating articles.
That's so interesting. I think it's cool to hear that, knowing, and we'll get into this in a minute, kind of what you've done now and the tool that you've created. I guess as an outsider, I would have assumed like, oh, that's your bread and butter. You're going to tell me stuff about algorithms and that's how you beat the system. But I love that you come with like a creator's mind first. I think it's always so inspiring, especially to people out there. And I think I would identify as this type of person who's like a little bit more on the creative side, who likes creating good content. I don't know. I feel like it's always easy to undermine yourself and be like, is that as good as trying to beat their algorithm? Like, can I really do this through good content? So it seems like you found the secret sauce, which I love that. I did want to talk about that. So let's talk about where you are today and the tool you created. How did being that content-minded creator first and foremost lead you to creating a keyword tool?
Yeah. So in my situation where I'm really focused on content, it's really important to choose the right keywords, because if you choose the wrong keywords, maybe too competitive, content can only go so far in that regard. If you're going after a really competitive keyword, it's probably best to get backlinks to those articles. For me, I got really good at doing keyword research and ranking my articles without these backlinks. And I kind of come up with a system that worked. And then I built Keyword Chef to automate the keyword research I was already doing for my own niche websites. So that's how Keyword Chef came to be.
Amazing. I mean, Keyword Chef, the way I understand it, you've essentially created a kind of a SaaS solution to an age-old SEO problem, correct?
You could say that. Keyword Chef is kind of unique in that it's more focused on bloggers rather than like trying to focus on everybody. And a really automated or, cut down on shortening the process of what a lot of SEOs were doing manually. So I just like took it one step further than most other tools.
I guess on that point, when we're talking about other tools, one thing that came to mind is understanding what is the norm for most keyword research tools. I would say like maybe what's the problem that you saw out with other tools, and then what sets Keyword Chef apart from the rest?
This might be a little surprising, but I've never actually paid for a keyword research tool. So I haven't been heavily into these other tools. I mean, there's a Chrome extension called Keywords Everywhere, but that's the only tool I've actually paid for. But from what I've seen so far and heard from other people is that the problem with these other tools is you type in your search term, like camping, for example, and you might get keywords like camping near me or, camping world or camping tent. These are keywords that bloggers would never write about just because they're so broad and competitive. The problem with these other tools is they give you thousands of keywords and you still have to go through the list and pick out the good ones. And that's very time consuming. So my idea was, how about we just give people the good keywords in the beginning instead of having them to sort through this big list and try to find them. That was my vision with Keyword Chef, is just like find good keywords as quickly as possible that are like pretty much guaranteed to rank.
Yeah, it's funny because it sounds like you're not getting too involved with some of the existing keyword tools is probably a good thing for you to just cut right to it and think with that blogger's hat and go, okay, I know what I need. I know what other people need. I'm just going to do that instead. Because clearly everyone else was doing it from a way different perspective. So how great that you're able to apply your own experience and kind of cut right to it. Because I can tell just from, looking at your website and, other well-known names in the space using your tool, like clearly it's working for them as well. I'm definitely curious, starting this up, I'm sure probably not an easy journey. What has it been like to kind of build this business, face challenges along the way and kind of bootstrap your own tool? it's probably really hard to juice that maybe to a couple things, but I'm sure there's plenty of other people out there looking at you as kind of like a shining example going, well, I would love to do that, but what does that journey look like?
I'll say that I'm probably not the typical founder in the sense like I have a programming background, so I was able to create Keyword Chef on my own. Most people don't know programming and they're going to have to hire, a developer, which has its own challenges in terms of funding and just getting the right thing you want designed the way you want it, just like that communication with the developer. Having been a developer and understanding keyword research, I was able to make a really good product just by like looking at the data and knowing, which keyword is good and which keywords are not good, and just like build my own filtering system on my own. So that was a huge advantage for me. And then another thing that helped a lot was I had my own community already before I built Keyword Chef. So I had a Facebook group of several thousand members already. So if you have a good audience and you build them a good product, like it's going to be much easier than trying to bootstrap something, hire a developer when you don't have an audience. So I think I was in a unique situation in that regard that I'll admit most people aren't probably in right now.
Yeah. Well, you kind of answering my next question in a way, because I was thinking about that. I think I was struck by that, like digging into your story and going, okay, you build this tool from scratch. Clearly, you have to start from square one. Most people build an audience from scratch, get subscribers. I think really what came to my mind is like, okay, clearly you had a little bit of a base and an audience to maybe test this product with. But I was wondering, how did you build trust and rapport with, not just your personal audience, but then start expanding beyond that to more people? Because the way I see it, it's kind of like we know that keyword research, let's say it's kind of entrenched, like people have a way of doing it, they have their tools. And how do you say, actually, everything that you've been comfortable with for years maybe is not that great, and I have something better, especially with people who feel like they know what they're doing, they don't want to budge. So that kind of came to my mind as I was thinking about how did you break in with those people?
Yeah, like convince them that my tool was worth taking a look at.
Yeah.
Compared to what they're currently using. So I think there's two things. The first is I have some features in Keyword Chef that aren't found in other tools. For example, one thing is that my tool can find which keywords have forums and other weak websites ranking on first page results. That's something that a lot of SEOs have to do manually, even if they find a keyword from another tool. So my tool will automate that. So it saves them a ton of time. If you have 1,000 keywords, that's going to take you a very long time to go through each one on Google and, see the search results. But Keyword Chef will automatically do that for you. So people who understand that, once they see it in Keyword Chef, they'll automatically want it because there's no other tool that does that right now. And the second thing that really helped was, since I have my own community, I was connected with other influencers in my space. So working with other influencers and having them do like reviews on YouTube and stuff really helped expand from my own circle into a broader circle.
That's so great. It's so funny with online business, like truly how small it is. Like even pulling up your page and I was like, I've interviewed like some of those people on this podcast, or I've had other guests pulling them up and then realizing there's just kind of like a chain of connection amongst the industry, which is nice because it allows you to maybe grow something of your own in this space and kind of build off of one another and sometimes leverage each other's audiences, which is fantastic. Now, I'm not quite sure. Were you working on this tool mostly alone?
Yeah, it's all me. I don't even have a team. It's kind of funny when people email me, they're like, dear, Keyword Chef team. I'm like, nope, it's just me doing everything here. So
it's like, do you have a dog or a cat? And it's like, they're on my team.
Right. Eventually, I like to build a team, especially if I want to grow. I think building a team would be important.
Yeah, well, I'm curious because it's really interesting. Obviously, we have a lot of solopreneurs in the industry, but I don't feel like I meet as many, say, solopreneur, and essentially when it comes down to it, a SaaS tool, as a founder, like they've got their teams and the developers like we talked about before. So I was wondering, what key lessons have you learned from building your own product, your own tool, especially while you've been alone this whole time?
Yeah, this is like my first real successful software company. I've actually tried 2 other companies that did not work out. And what worked really well this time was, like I said earlier, is having a community that helps tremendously. and building a tool for yourself, scratching your own itch, they call it.
Mm.
And if you're your own customer, you understand your problems intimately and you're able to build something really well since you're your own target audience, basically. So what works for you is likely going to work for other people because they're in the same situation. So that's one thing I've learned. Another thing is that Keyword Chef, I call it more of a premium product and I can charge premium prices for that. So there's people that have no problem dropping $250 on my product to buy credits. And you can't do that like a poor keyword tool, It needs to work really well for people to spend that kind of money. So that's one thing I learned, again, is if you have a really good product, you can charge higher prices. You don't want to chase the bottom of the barrel in terms of pricing. And then back to community again, if you build a community, when you have a problem in your software, like a bug or, your website goes down or something's not working, which will probably happen at some point in your business, your community will be much more forgiving and actually try to help you fix it. So that's another thing I learned is if you build relationships, people are a lot more forgiving.
Yeah, that's fantastic advice. I never really thought about it that way, that if you already had the group of people that are used to hearing from you, used to working with you, they make so much more of a forgiving audience to kind of test things out and make your product better. I suppose the one question that comes to my mind is, we had guests on and they talk about community building. I'm always curious as to how. I guess I come with this caveat of there's loads of people out there that say, go build a community. Then when they go to do it, it doesn't gain traction. Maybe this is taking a couple steps back before Keyword Chef, but how did you initially do that and get people to sort of sign on with what you were working on?
Yeah, so communities can be built in various ways. I'm on Facebook all the time, so that works for me. For other people, it might be a YouTube channel or their own blog or something, but Facebook is working really well for me. What I did is I just joined a bunch of other groups and just started helping people and posted what I was learning and sharing case studies. And as I became friends with the people, I just invited them over to my own group. And if you do this, it doesn't happen overnight. I think I've had my group for close to 3 years now, and it has 8,000 members right now. So it's not like you're going to get a bunch of members in the first month, You really have to nurture your audience and just build real relationships. There's no shortcut to that. And you have to show up every day because if you disappear, people are going to forget about you. So you constantly have to be in the weeds, so to speak, and just keep putting out content and helping people without any expectation in return.
Yeah, I think it goes back to that initial point where we're opening up the interview and talking about, sticking with something that's not going to pay you either tonight or tomorrow and maybe not a year from now. It sounds like community building is certainly the same. There's the old advice of you probably have to give away for free for a long time before you can start charging for things. It's interesting because I think the online space is rife with trying to sell people on quick solutions. If you build this site, you can make this much money this fast. With this course, you can do X, Y, and Z. And a lot of it is obviously just complete smoke. We know that. I think it's if you're doing virtually anything online, it's I can't think of many things that actually give you money right away, except maybe the crazy stuff going on with NFTs. I don't know.
No.
Yeah, seriously, that's the only thing I've heard of where you can make a little graphic and then get a couple 100,000. But other than that, but no, I love hearing your story. It seems obviously it's an amazing place that you've landed in right now, but it took quite a few iterations to get there. It took building a real community. And like you said, no shortcut to relationship building. Sorry, guys. That one's a tough one. AI hasn't cracked that one yet. I'm curious, looking forward a little bit with what you're doing with the tool. What's your vision for the future of Keyword Chef? And what are your next steps to, say, reach that vision?
Yeah. I do have other tools in mind I want to build aside from finding keywords. So more SEO tools. And I think creating a broader ecosystem. So maybe a newsletter or just putting out more content in that regard, having a blog and things like that. Just putting out more content because the thing is some people might have a tool and then, someone might check it out and they forget about it. But if you're constantly putting out content, that's a way for them to remember you, You got to stay in front of people. As I say, you got to keep the buzz alive with their tool. And content is a great way to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's so easily underestimated. It's like, I have a good product. I solved that problem. And it's like, well, no, you still have to talk about how you can solve that problem. Sorry. Again, there's no shortcut there either. So I think it's really great advice for those who are out there thinking, I'm going to come up with a tool, a SaaS solution, et cetera. You're probably not going to circumvent to have a marketing strategy or a content strategy. I did want to ask you, it's been great to hear about your journey to build this tool and how you got into this space, but obviously you've seemed to find this personal secret sauce when it comes to keyword research. I love how like that keyword research preferences, they seem to change from person to person. So I guess maybe we can kick this off. I was wondering what good keyword research is to you.
Yeah. So a lot of people, they just like rely on tools and they just plug in their search term and they find a keyword and they'll look at the keyword difficulty metric inside the keyword and they'll just like write about it. But there's more to that when it comes to keyword research. So first you have to like find the right keyword. You just don't want to go after any keyword. You want to make sure the keyword has what I call clear search intent. And that means like if you look at the keyword, are you able to tell exactly what the user wants when they search for that term, Because if you know what they want, you can deliver it, right? So like I'll go back to my camping example, like camping chairs. You don't know if someone's looking to buy one or they're just like they want to find pictures or they're looking for a sizing guide, you're not really sure what they're looking for. But if there's a keyword called like, best camping chair under $50, you know exactly what they're looking for. They're looking to buy one under $50. So search intent is important. And then competition analysis. A lot of tools, like I said, go on like keyword difficulty. And that's not very accurate because that metric is a lot of times based on backlinks to like the domain. And it tells you nothing about how well optimized that page actually is or how related it is to the search term. So you can't just go blindly through these keyword difficulty metrics. You always want to do your own competition analysis when it comes to picking a keyword.
Yeah, it's all great advice. I guess it makes me think this is something I've heard about, SEO or keyword research in the past. It's like everybody wants to make it a science, but there's still an art to it. You have to think outside of the box actually to do a good job. I suppose there's like an unintentional theme of this episode is like there is no shortcut. It seems like in everything. I had something come to mind as I was doing, a bit of research on you and learning about your story. I think I was reading that you said somewhere you were talking about kind of like the heyday in owning a niche site and where, it was so easy back in the day with the way things were set up with Amazon and kind of online shopping to make a load of money from niche sites, when I would say with maybe relative less work. However, obviously things have gotten more competitive over the years. The way Amazon it's changed. I was wondering what kind of motivation would you give to those who've seen shifts in keyword ROI over the years, and maybe they've seen a drop in their revenue? Is there any encouraging words maybe that you have on that front?
Yeah, I've been there. Like my first site I talked about earlier, it was a Amazon review site because that's what I was first introduced to. And I thought that's what you're supposed to do. I didn't know about other networks or anything like that. So, eventually, like you said, Amazon, they have a habit of cutting your commission rates. So it's like, well, how do I make up that lost revenue? So what I did is I started looking at other affiliate programs. And some people don't realize this. You can have Amazon and other affiliate links on the same exact page for the same exact product. So if you encourage people to shop around for the lowest price and you give them, 2 or 3 links of places to buy it from, let them pick and shop around, and whichever link they use, you're going to earn their commission. So just like diversifying your affiliate links. And then most websites are going to earn more money with display ads. So I went a couple years without ads because I thought they were too spammy. And I missed out on thousands of dollars by not having ads on my site sooner. So I encourage people, even if you have a affiliate, like a review website, you can still put ads on that site and your income is going to go up. So just think about how you can like diversify and optimize your existing traffic, because sometimes there's like little tweaks you can do that can increase your income a lot.
Yeah, that's great advice. I really like what you said there about providing the different links, Amazon plus affiliates kind of for the same product and just letting people choose. That's fantastic. I guess in the same vein, this is more of like a hot take personal opinion, but do you still think it's possible to have a lucrative keyword strategy in 2021 and beyond?
Yeah, I think it's changing. There was a recent Google update where a lot of affiliate sites took a big hit. Now the sites I make, they're more informational content. So instead of just doing product reviews, I just answer questions that people have in my niche. Could I put a camping chair inside a tent? That might be a keyword that someone is looking for. So that's an article I could write. And I may be able to squeeze in, a couple of affiliate links, but I can still make money off that site through display ads. Just think about what other content that you can create besides reviews.
Absolutely. I feel like probably leading me right into my next question, but what's your take on staying relevant and future-proof as possible in your keyword research and just in general niche site building?
Yeah, a lot has changed. Amazon cut the rates, there's Google algorithm updates, and then, COVID came along and a lot of people took a hit with COVID, travel websites and things like that. I think people should start thinking about developing not just a website, but more of an overall brand. And this is what Google has been telling people too. And Google says that brands are the solution. This means not just having a website, but also maybe creating a YouTube channel that goes along with it, or creating a newsletter, becoming more part of the internet ecosystem as a whole through other means, just not with a blog. So think about how else you can reach your audience. Maybe you want to create a Facebook group or something like that. And think about other ways you can get traffic too. Like I said, YouTube could be a way, people do Pinterest as well. So again, it goes back to diversification and not just relying on SEO for traffic.
Yeah, all great advice. We're definitely big proponents of that at Empire Flippers, trying to tell people, look, approach your site as your own personal empire. Don't be afraid to build your moat, to expand, to diversify. You do have to think about it beyond just, this is my small niche site. I don't want to say bigger is better, but in some ways, yeah, it can be, especially when it comes to the more that you go after those opportunities, you're not just strengthening your site, you're protecting your site from any one of those, lovely Amazon commission slashes or a lovely Google Amazon or a Google update, all the things that it takes to exist in this space. This has been great. I feel like it's been great to get your take, especially on the keyword front. It's so cool that you've been able to really find something that works not just for you, but for so many people. Typically, I like to close these out with just a couple rapid fire questions, if you're cool with that.
Sure, fire away.
Awesome. Let's do it. So what would you say is the best hidden growth opportunities for keyword research?
One area I particularly like is joining Facebook groups in your niche. And this is a great way just to see what questions people are asking in your niche that could be used as keywords. And this is a great way to understand your niche better anyway. So I was in the camping niche and I joined, a dozen camping Facebook groups. And while I'm casually browsing Facebook, I would see someone's question pop up in my feed. It's what I call passive learning, where you're not actively searching for something, but it's going to be in front of you. And it's just a great way to find keywords and learn more about your niche.
I love that you just brought that up, because that was actually something that came to mind as you were saying that earlier. I was thinking to myself, when you were talking about looking for those questions, it's how do you source those questions? And then I second guessed myself and I was like, well, I guess the keyword research, right? But obviously there's other ways of doing that. So that's super cool, that expanding beyond the algorithm, as we were talking about before.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So final question for you. What tools or resources can help online business owners grow their business?
I talk a lot about Facebook groups, but I think they're great. Again, just being inside a community where you can talk with other people who are doing the same things and sharing tips and tricks just to learn more about your industry and what's working and not working and networking. Again, relationships. I think Facebook groups are great. It doesn't have to be a Facebook group. It could be YouTube or some other forum, but just get plugged into the community. And just if you're a podcast person, look up podcasts in your niche. We're on a podcast right now that some people are listening to. So again, another great way to learn.
Absolutely. Well, awesome. So Ben, this has been great, not just digging into your take on keyword research, but hearing your journey, building your own tool quite impressively by yourself. So fantastic to have you on and to learn more about what you're up to. We will be sharing links in the show notes if anyone's curious about Keyword Chef and what you're doing over there. And yeah, I'm excited to see how this is going to be helpful for our audience. I'm sure we'll get some good feedback on it.
Cool. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you. Hey everyone, and that wraps today's episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hopefully you've walked away with a bit of new insight that'll help you in your digital entrepreneurship journey. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To learn more about businesses available for sale at Empire Flippers, click the link in the description or visit empireflippers.com/marketplace. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.